Hello students, welcome once again to the English lecture. I hope you all are doing well, you are safe, you are sound. Be positive, be hopeful. The good time is coming very soon. Keep that spirit burning in your mind and be hopeful and give hope to the people around you as well. Okay, with that, I think for today again, we should be continuing with where we left in the last class. Firstly, let us have a quick overview. Let me deliver a half kind of summary of what we have already learned. We have started learning presentation skills. We are learning effective presentation skills. So as you know, presentation, which is a mode of communication, is basically divided into 4 steps: planning, preparing, practicing, and presenting. Firstly, we discuss planning, which is basically about thinking, keeping it clear in the mind what the audience will be, who they will be, what their objective will be, what your objective will be, how long is your presentation going to take, and where it is going to take. That is planning. And then comes the second stage, which is preparing for the presentation. As we know, preparing for the presentation is made up of certain points, and we have started discussing those points. We began with structure. So the structure is divided into the 5 points, beginning with objective. The structure of a presentation is basically divided into 3 major parts: beginning, middle, and end or summary. And the structure has to end, any presentation has to end with the questions. We also discussed this, that in introduction itself, we should be able to grab the attention of the audience. Then in the main theme or in the middle part, we should be talking about the things which are relevant to the topic. And finally, we should be concluding the PPT or presentation. After that, questions is a part which should be invariably there in the presentation. So with structure, we ended with the structure. We also discussed the prompts, and I told you that our slide should not be overcrowded with so many things written. There should be only bullet points. There should be only few points, and then it is the responsibility of the presenter to speak the other things. And then comes the next point, which is visual aids. And we have also discussed the visual aids. There can be various visual aids. That can be the use of images, clip chart, film, video, CD-ROM, computer control slide, overhead projector. These are the various audiovisual aids that are used in the presentation. These aids are easy to use. They should be easy to use, firstly. They should be flexible. We should be quite capable of using those visual aids, and we should be able to use them properly, because use of such visual aids make your presentation look more professional. It is also very good with the large audiences. And if you have a remote control, for example, you are using the overhead projector, you are showing the slides, and if you have a remote control in your hand, it becomes quite easy to manage yourself. So it is good with small or large group. And then with tape recorder or computer or presentations only, sometimes you can show the films, the short films, the interviews, the background music can be also made the audience to be heard by the audience. So these are the various things you can use in the audiovisual aids. Now, before we move on to the next slide, let us learn certain general tips on using the visual aids. Certain general tips. First is use a series of overhead or projector slides to structure your presentation for you and allow you to look at the audience while developing each point. Look at the audience more than your slides. This is the general rule of delivering a presentation. You should not be looking at the slides continuously because the presenter has to basically present. His responsibility is to face the audience and look into the eyes of the audience. Because if he does not look into the eyes of the audience would find it quite boring, monotonous. The eye contact is must. So he has not to read the things out from the presentation. He has to use them, but then basically he has to speak on his own. He has to look into the eyes of the audience. Second, present only essential information on each slide. The slides should not be overcrowded. There should not be too much of the material written on the slides. Otherwise, it again looks very boring. The slides should be made up of only the bullets or the prompts. Only the essential information should be there on each slide. Third, restrict the content to about 25 words or the equivalent in figures. Again, the slide should not be overcrowded. Otherwise, it becomes difficult for the audience, for the readers to read from the slides. Also, that does not create good impression. One more thing, fourth, realize that an ordinary typewriter doesn't look professional and cannot be read at a distance. So try to write in such a manner that the audience can read properly. Use such fonts and take such size that it becomes readable for all the audience. Make sure your slides are clearly numbered in the correct sequence and are the right way up. Any confusion will damage your professional image. So you have to, this is very important for your professional image. If you don't give proper numbers to the slides, if there is confusion in the use of the slides, and if the audiences do not get the clear idea of your presentation slides, it doesn't look good. Use pictures, drawings, and color for interest, because we know a picture is worth 1,000 words, as the Chinese proverb goes. So that is why sometimes the colorful pictures, sometimes the images, they can be shown to give information, because often even if we try to explain a lot, we cannot prove our point, but one image, one picture can make the entire thing clear. And lastly, don't leave any one visual aid on for too long. Also, this is very important. Visual aids are good. They can be used, but don't use one visual aid for very long, because again, that brings a kind of monotony to the presentation. So, keeping all these things in mind, we should be using the audiovisual aids. And whenever or whether or not you are using the audiovisual aids, always try to bring clarity, simplicity, and vividness. And then see the slide making, the art of slide making itself is to know what to leave out. You don't have to express everything. You don't have to write everything on the slide, because if you do so, the audience would feel that if this man is only going to read from the slides, why is he there? Also, we can read from the slides. So this is an art. The art of slide making is an art. Don't write everything on the slides. If you understand this, now you will be able to differentiate between the good presentations and the poor presentation. Often people prepare presentations, but presentations are there to help them. so that they don't have to speak anything on their own. They just prepare presentations and read everything out from those slides. This is not to be done in presentation. Because if you are going to give much the same presentation more than once, it is highly advisable to get the best professional help available to you in the design and making of your visual aids. So firstly, we should learn how to use design and animation, how to use pictures, how to take help of the various figures and the various graphics in the presentation. And that is why I request you all that while you all are at home right now, sorry, and you don't have any specific thing to be done, you can learn the art of presentation. Computer or laptop must be there with you all. So learn to make slides, learn to use various graphics, learn to use various pictures in your slides, and in this way you can make it interesting. So that was the visual aids. The next point. So let us recollect. We are learning preparation stage, and in preparation stage there are a few points we saw: structure, prompt, visual aids, and now we are on voice. Let us remember one thing, that we have not still prepared the delivering the presentation. We are just preparing for it. Now voice. What are the things that should be kept in mind? First, the voice should be loud and it should be clear than normal pitch. That means when I'm talking casually with the students, my voice is different, my sound is different. But when I'm delivering a lecture, or when I am delivering the lecture right now, my voice has to be louder, because often the things are not heard properly, and often the things remain unnoticed if I don't speak everything clearly. So my responsibility is more while I'm delivering a presentation. I have to be louder. I have to take care of the fact that I am heard properly. And a very good idea here is to continuously ask whether you are audible or not. The first responsibility of the presenter is to ask to the audience and make sure that he is heard properly. Also, your pitch and your volume are very important. You should not speak very fast. By pitch, we understand your speed. You should not speak very fast, because if you speak very fast, often many things are unheard, left unheard by the audience. If you speak very slow, they get tired, and again, they don't notice what you speak. So your pitch is very important. Your volume is important. You don't have to shout, of course, but then you should speak in such a manner that each and every word is spoken clearly, and so that they can be heard properly. Then one more thing, emphasis is an important thing in presentation. You should stress certain things out, but then overemphasis is also required sometimes. Because in presentation, see, you must be knowing, those who are learning, let us take an example of classical dancers. Those who are learning classical dance, they, at the time of performing on stage, they do makeup, and sometimes that makeup is very loud. It is very strong. They do a lot of makeup just so because they are to be seen by a large number of audience. Only if you overemphasize sometimes can you be seen or can you be noticed. For that reason, at the time of presentation, you should overemphasize sometimes. It might seem to be a little louder, but you have to do this so that your point is made clear. Even earlier, I already compared presentation with the act of acting. Just as an actor has to be sometimes louder, sometimes he has to emphasize more on his performance. In the same way, the presenter also has to sometimes overemphasize on what he is speaking or what he is telling. So your voice is an important part of your presentation, and that is why if you are going to deliver a presentation 10 days after today, you should right from now onwards, you should start working on your voice. It is very important. After voice comes the appearance of the presenter. Now, when you are in the professional scenario, when you are in business, when you are in the corporate field, there are certain colors which are to be chosen, which are to be selected while delivering a presentation. Generally, dark colors are considered to be more business-like. I'm not talking about the academic field, that is our field, but if you are in a business, if you are in a commercial field, generally dark colors are to be selected. So you should be wearing the colors which are suitable to the business you are in. Generally black, gray, such dark colors are to be selected while you are going to be delivering the presentation, and no pink, yellow and green, no pink, yellow, blue. See, blue, that is similar to the black color, that can be used, but you don't have to create an impression of being very colorful while delivering a presentation. So your colors should be suitable in that way. You have to wear the outfit that is comfortable to you. That means neither too fit nor too loose clothes are to be worn. You don't have to capture anyone's attention by your clothes. So in that way, the clothes that are comfortable to you should be taken for this business, for this presentation. You should wear comfortable shoes to weight your feet evenly. If your shoes are not comfortable, you are not able to walk properly or stand properly, your attention will be diverted because of that, and you might be nervous for that reason. And that is why no attractive shoes are also to be worn. Try to be proper. That's it. Okay. While delivering the presentation, your maneuver, your behavior, your gestures, your postures, they are very important. The way you stand, the way you sit, the way you carry yourself, that is very important. That is why it is advisable not to sit for too long, nor to stand for too long. Rather, you should sit sometimes, then you should stand, you should move a little, you should go here, you should go there, you should look into the eyes of your audience. If you do this, you become more lively, you seem more lively. That helps you to keep your audience with you, awakened. And last but not the least, the first and most important thing that the presenter should be doing is look confident. Sometimes this confidence is very difficult to be shown, but then you have to show this. You have to look confident, because only if you are confident, the audience will be convinced with what you are saying. Otherwise, they will not be hearing you properly. If you really want to win their attention, you should look confident throughout. So for that, you should prepare yourself properly for the presentation. You should be a well acknowledged person. You should have proper knowledge about the things that you are speaking. You should have answers of all the questions that can be asked. Only if you have this thorough knowledge of what you are speaking, you can look confident, right? So the appearance of the presenter is also very important, and that is why he should select the clothes that he has to wear on the day of presentation, the shoes, the bag that he will be carrying, the laptop that he will be carrying. He should check whether he is able to, whether he should check whether he has properly used the presentation, made the presentation slides. He should be able to operate it properly. He should be careful about the hair, about the clothes of him. at the time of presentation. So here I am discussing the professional dress code. When I am discussing the professional dress code, I am obviously talking about the dress code in the professional. I am talking about the formal clothes. So professional dress code is something like this. The shirts should always have collars. A solid collar is recommended. They should be long sleeved even in summer. So that's the rule. Tie should coordinate with the color of your shirt. It has to coordinate. For your better understanding, you should visit someone. You should meet someone who has worked with multinational company MNC, and you will realize that they are very careful about the clothes that they wear. Their tie, their socks, their shoes, their shirt, pants, all these things have to be, they are very proper. A small conservative pattern is okay, but remember, no character or novelty ties. No character or novelty ties are to be worn with the shirt, and the color of the tie has to match with the color of your shirt. Next, always wear a belt. Also keep your laptop and papers in a bag that is as polished as the rest of your ensemble, and that is why the bag also is noticed at the time of your presentation. Keep it proper. For colors, think shades of brown, beige, olive or grey, and black. Leave the jeans at home. Don't wear jeans that is not a formal costume. Sock color should match pants and shoes. Finish your outfit with boots, leather penny loafers and monk straps, Oxfords or formal black shoes. So this is the outfit of a male. And again for female. Now, as far as Indian scenario is concerned, a female can wear sari. That is considered to be a formal outfit as well. But then it depends on the institute. You can see the difference between the professionals and non-professionals in this picture. Observe the difference between these two pictures. Look at their hair, look at their postures, the way they are standing, look at their clothes, look at their shoes, look at their legs and hands. Everything is observed. When you are a presenter, all these things have to be taken care of. Next, style. Style is very closely connected with the appearance of the presenter. Well, we should always remember one thing, that our style is our style. And we already have a style that may not be very attractive, very good style, but that is our own. That is why we should not try to copy others. We can emulate certain patterns from others. We can learn to do those things. But if you completely forget yourself and try to be someone else while presenting, you will be confused. We should firstly learn to be our own self. Also, the language that we use should be not a crammed one, not a language that we have memorized. The language that we use should be made up of the words and sentences that we use in normal days. And that is why there is a very clear difference in the language that we hear from the people who deliver presentations on the day-to-day basis, because they have to learn the language that is to be used while delivering a presentation. Because by mistake while presenting, if you use any word or any part of a sentence that is not a good one, the entire presentation will collapse at that point. So the presenter should be very clear, very sound in the use of words and sentences that he uses, and then the style that you use should be a normal one. Don't try to pretend to be someone else. Be yourself. Questions. Now, as far as questions are concerned, I have already told you we should sketch an idea that what kind of questions can audience ask. Sometimes if we try to anticipate that these are the questions that can be asked, we should keep their answers ready in our mind. Because at once we might feel confused, we may not be able to find answer at once or speak it properly. That is why anticipation of the questions well in advance and then preparation of those their answers well in advance is really good. That really is helpful. So here we have completed the preparation phase. Once again, I think we should have a quick overview of all the stages. Quick overview on all the stages of preparation: structure, prompt, visual aids, voice, appearance, style, and questions. Please try to recollect what we have discussed in this part and then try to understand the preparation phase from this picture. Unless you have a very modern and sophisticated system at your disposal, such as prominent politicians use at major conferences, I would counsel against reading from a written script. Don't do this. Don't read from a written script. It creates a very bad impression. Look into the eyes of your audience, face them, and speak on your own. And for speaking on your own, you need to prepare. Doing, reading from the written script certainly has the advantage of greater accuracy, but it loses your eye contact with your audience. An experienced speaker using a written script can glance up frequently and make it sound more natural, but even then, the disadvantages outweigh the advantages, especially as we now live in an age which values informality. Today is an age of informality, so don't try to pretend too much. Don't try to be so formal that you are not left convincing. Uh, when you should be reading from a written presentation? That is also a question. Sometimes it is important to read certain things. For example, while delivering my presentation, I am giving the account of someone. I am telling the words spoken by someone. At that time, when I'm quoting someone, I should read. At that time, I should not speak on my own, because when you are quoting someone, it is your responsibility to quote exactly as he or she spoke. So in that situation, you can use the written script. That is fine. But then after that, again, you should look into the eyes of your audience. You should continuously look for the feedback of your audience. For example, you hear the radio uh, jockeys every day. You hear the FM. Even in the radio studio, you will probably find yourself looking up from your script and addressing the invisible audience. Even right now, while I am talking to you, I'm not before you. I cannot look into your eyes, and still I have an invisible audience, invisible students before me. And continuously I am thinking how they must be thinking about the things that I am talking. So continuously I have to think what my audience is to be. Again, a presenter has to be compared with the actor, because an actor has to understand how my performance, how my acting will be received by the audience. In the same way, presentation also has to be very accurate in terms of in delivering the presentation, whether you sometimes read from the text or you don't read from the text, you have to continuously look for the feedback or the response of your audiences, right? So here we have completed the preparations phase. In fact, it is not completed. We will be continuing from this slide in the next class. I request you all to try to just recollect what we have already studied in presentation skills. And one more thing that I would request to all of you, whatever we have learned in presentation, in 2 or 3 lectures that we have conducted until now, I request you all to take a page, take a pen, and write everything that you remember down on the paper and share the picture with me on Google Classroom. If thinking the things and writing them down on page helps a lot, because in that way you become more sure of what you have learned. So writing, and at the same time you will also get the writing practice. So with that, we are ending today's class. I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you.